Hey everyone, in today's video we're going to have a talk about design development section in your coursework. So now that you've finished your research section, so the first part of your research was out of 20, then your project planning, which was your spec, your brief, your Gantt chart is out of 10. So your design development section is out of 25 marks. That is actually the same as your practical amount of marks on there as well. So there's quite a lot of detail that needs to go into it. So remember, the aim is in the first year is you have all your research and your design development done. Then when you come back in September of the second year, you manufacture the piece from September till February half term, and then evaluate and finish. So you spend quite a long time on it, all the way up until the summer, then over the summer holiday as well. So what you need to do is you should have your first concepts in your research. So just after you finish your main part of your research, you have to do some first concepts. We needed to have 8 like first thoughts of designs that you've come up with. Okay, so what you need to do, you need to take 4 of those and develop them. Now, each set of development, so a set would be you take one of your first concepts, and then you have to develop that 4 separate times. So in total, you're doing 16 developments. So if you take one of your first concepts, you need to develop that in 4 different ways. Okay, bear in mind that just changing the color of it, it's now blue, um, isn't a development. Okay, they need to be substantial. So that could be an aesthetic thing. It could also be about the actual function of it as well. So bear in mind, if you're going to do small changes, you need to do 3 or 4 small changes for it to consider to be like one development, um, as opposed to like one substantial change. But you need to do 4 bits of development that are substantial. How now? As I said before, when you're doing your first concept, you are assessed on your communication techniques. Okay, so the idea is you need to use a range of communication methods. Okay, so as before, that could be freehand sketching, that could be CAD models, that could be prototype modeling, as in like physical models like 3D printing, laser cutting, and so on, along with your notes, annotations, explanations that go along with it as well. As before, play to your strengths. Okay, if you are someone that does art or did art and you're very, very good at it, then of course you can do some more freehand sketching. Everyone has got to include some CAD work in there because we will start doing all your technical drawings in there as well from that as well. So you've got to use a lot of Fusion, but you are welcome to do some sketching. On the flip side of that, if you know your sketching is not very good, then don't include it, because if it's there and it's rubbish, it'll drag your mark down. So it's only have it if it's good, and then you should have some physical models in there as well. You are assessed on the quality of your drawings, your models, and the creativity you've designed as well, which is why I said if you're not so good at sketching, don't include it. But the other key thing there is the creativity and innovation. So if you're doing a chair, if you've just done 4 legs and a seat, going to get no mark. Same if you're just doing a builder, you've got 4 walls and a roof, and that's it. Not much innovation that's going along there as well. So it's that creativity and innovation unlock the top marks for you. Once you've done that, the write-up you need to do, so it's quite a bit of write-up you've got to do. You've got to compare it to a specification, which you've just written, which, as I said, are those targets that you're setting yourself. So your aesthetics, your target market, users, materials, those sorts of things. So you've got to say, have you met that point? If you have, great. How did you do it? If not, why not? Okay, it's important. You've got to do it for each one of those. That is the biggest chunk of writing you're going to have on here. You've then got to link it back to your brief. Have you done what you set out to do in terms of the brief? Does it meet that or not? Link it back to pages specifically in your research. So why have you done this? Well, on page 6 of my research, my client mentioned that X, Y, and Z. Or on page 13 of my research, I found out that this material was really good for, and whatever it is. Okay. So again, always linking back to that research. You need to get your clients. You need to get your clients' opinions. Okay, because you're designing for your client, so you need to have their opinion on it, and you need to have your design thinking on it, your thought process. When I'm marking it and when the examiner marks it, you're not there to explain it to them. So obviously in class, I can grab you, you can come and tell me what you're thinking. But when I'm actually like marking it to send off, you need to have all your entire thought process needs to be down on a piece of paper. Okay, so this is sort of just going over a bit more detail what I've just said. So the write-up is the most important thing at A level, okay? And I know I said this on previous like video help sheets and stuff like that, is remembering that it is A level and the depth of knowledge and like technical language needed at A level is quite a bit higher than GCSE, okay? It's the fact you've got to justify everything that you've done, okay? At no point should there be something on the page that just is just there with like no explanation to it. Well, why is that there? Don't know. Okay, it always needs to be explained on there as well, okay? So with that spec, as we said, did you meet the point? If you did, how? If not, why not? How it links your research, client's opinion, And as I said before, if you don't refer back to pages in your research, okay, you will have marks taken away from you. Okay, so it's really, really important that you start linking everything back to your research. All right, and the last little bit here, okay, is you've got to be going into detail about how the thing will be made and what materials it will be made from. You've done research on materials and construction methods, so now's the time. Particularly, this is the perfect pages to link back to your research because you've done it. Okay, is you need to be thinking about how the things would actually be made. What you can't just say, "Oh, it'll just be made." Okay, you actually have to think properly about the correct technical way of how those things will be manufactured in the workshop with the equipment that we have got. If you don't know, you need to be thinking about it now. What you can't say is, I haven't thought about it yet, or I'm not sure how it made. Well, you're the one that needs to do it. You're the one that's manufacturing this part, this piece. So how are you going to do it? And if you don't know, you need to go and research and figure out how that would be done. Okay, that is really, really, really important. Okay, now I'm not allowed to give you a template, and by all means, I would never give you a template of how you should do it anyway, because it kind of stifles your creativity. But these are the sort of things on pages to lay out. Okay, so if you think about the blue bit, sort of like the sketch, like that designs you got with it, so have an idea of the first concept that you're developing, drawing, prototype, physical and CAD model, plant feedback, compare to your spec and your brief, and then any other experimentation you need to look at, testing, new materials, new processes, things you haven't done before, that type of thing. So you can lay it out that way. Again, I'm not going to say you must lay it out this way, but I want to show you a few examples. So this was Estelle, who was the architect. So you've seen this model before. So she starts with her first concept. Where's my mouse gone? There it is. So starts with your first concept and sort of goes through, shows her journey, arrow showing, or here's how I developed part one, two, like all these little developments. Now, developments can be of small parts, so it could just be of a roof or it could be of a particular side of a building. Same with if it's a piece of furniture, it could just be you just developing how the back of the chair moves or how the legs raise up and down, or like have a whole section on just designing the actual seat part of it. So it doesn't have to be a redesign of everything each time, it could be a particular section of a thing as well. And then comparison to spec, this is a very, very good way of setting it out. Again, you don't have to do it this way, but it's a really easy. What you've got to think about is how can you make it as easy as possible for the examiner to see it and go, okay, that is where it is. Because bear in mind, they're going to be marking 2, 3, 4, 500 folders. It needs to be super obvious in the face of here's where I got the marks, give them to me. Okay, so each point, each specification, comparison saying, did you meet it or not? And then color coding, green I met it, yellow kind of met it, red didn't. And then explanation that goes along with it as well. A couple other examples just to talk through. So we've seen this one before with Will and his seat. So his first sketch and his CAD model, sort of developing how it's all changing, what he liked about them, what he improved, what he still needs to improve from there. Links back to spec and brief. Again, color coded is a big, big help. And then the other thing you'll have to do is be able to do technical drawings in Fusion 360. Now the benefit is Fusion will do a lot of this for you. Okay, I have not gone through how to do this with you in Fusion 360, but I will do before you need to do it. But as long as you've got your model done, so the key things obviously you have your model done and they're all separate parts, being able to do the actual technical drawing side of things is actually really, really easy. And those that were doing engineering and using AutoCAD doesn't do it for you. You've got to do it all yourself, and it's very, very time consuming. Fusion 360 will literally take about like like a quarter of the time. It's infinitely faster. Okay, so you'll need to have some technical drawings for each one of your design developments as well. So in terms of like the actual orthographic drawing, parts list, and then sectional views, so you get to see the insides like mechanisms and that type of thing. Final thing that's really, really good to have as well at the end of it, once you've done all your development, is have a timeline so the examiner can see here's where I started, here's all my thought processes, my developments, all the coming down to here's how I got to my final design. So examiners really like to see this because it shows that journey, that iterative approach of how you came up with your final design. The last little thing I'll leave in here, if you're someone that struggles to sort of like develop, this is quite a good acronym just to sort of help give you some ideas of what changes you can make. So the idea that you could scale sizes, make one part smaller, bigger, smaller, combine multiple parts together, add a new shape or a feature, replace something, delete something, duplicate something. So that's just there's like an abbreviate, like quite a good prompt to sort of help you develop a little bit as well. So that is design development. So remember, out of 25 marks, so it's a big chunk of work. Hopefully that's made sense. If you've got any questions, please let me know.